What a cool truck. Hi, I'm Dennis Gage and welcome to My Classic Car. Well, this week we're at my place in Evansville, Indiana to check out a couple really unique Power Wagons. Now I ran across this town wagon about a year ago at a local show. Had to track the guy down to find it. Loved the thing, wanted to do a piece on it, but I had to match it up with something and there weren't any other Power Wagons. But through the Power Wagon circles, I found this guy named Michael Verse who built this killer 55 crew cab. I said, man, what a matchup. So I say, bring them together, let's get around and feel the power. Michael, good to finally meet you, man.
Dennis, very nice to meet you.
And really good to meet your truck. You know, when I was looking for something to match up with that town wagon, there really wasn't anything locally. But I talked to Power Wagon folks and go, oh, Michael Verse got this killer truck. And what everybody said is, it's really nice. And I went, okay. And I saw a picture and I went, wow, that's really nice. But when you rolled in last night, I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. It's a 1955 Power Wagon crew cab. Which they never did.
They never did.
But you did.
But I did.
Is it true that this was really the first from the factory four-wheel drive vehicle?
Yes.
So if you wanted it in a GM, you'd have a
Napco
or a Marmon Harrington.
Harrington conversion.
But this came this way.
This came as a four-wheel drive.
But it didn't come this way.
It didn't come this way.
So how did you do this? How did you? You know, because I'm blown away by how stock it looks.
The goal was to try and get it to look as factory as possible. I wanted to build a truck that I thought Dodge would have made in 1955.
A donor truck gave you the door, but you're square there. The door should have this. How did you?
So I circumvented that problem by using both a driver's door and a passenger side door and using pieces from both of them.
So wait a minute. So this is a left driver's door. But then you use the back part of the other door on the other side to create this.
To create that.
Oh my gosh.
And to get that speed line so that it flowed.
Right, so, because the door would have this kick up too, wouldn't it?
Correct.
So there's actually 6 doors.
6 doors represented in this 4-door truck, yes.
Because you've also got the hinge in the speed line. It wouldn't have been there, would it?
No, it would have been raised up about 3 inches from what it was factory, but I wanted to keep that really clean look of the speed line going all the way down and wrapping around the truck.
So you had to change the hinge and everything?
Change the hinge.
Holy cow. I mean, you cannot tell that.
This bed is in fact a half-ton Dodge pickup bed. Because the arch wasn't in the right place, I had to cut about a foot off the front of the bed.
And move it to the back of the bed.
Move it to the back of the bed.
So that back there was actually up here originally?
Up there originally, yes.
And it's vice versa, right?
And vice versa.
I mean, Michael.
Welding, pieced together.
This is insane. You've updated like the wheels and stuff, but they still look period.
It's updated rubber, but it's still rolling on original rims.
It is really? Wow, geez.
Yeah, those are
what you did with the interior blows me away though. I mean, this just, again, looks so incredibly factory. The headliner's awesome. One of the first things I noticed was the stitching there. Like you took care of the curves by sewing them in?
Yep.
Unbelievable.
The texture is actually a bed liner spray that was kind of spritzed on there. I wanted to kind of bring out the grained look of the seats, the school bus brown.
Yeah, these are all the placards and badging and everything that the dash would have, right?
Absolute factory dash. There's nothing changed
from 1955.
From 1955.
One of the things I noticed was just peering in, you've got hanging pedals, and this would have had floor pedals.
Correct.
And you've only got 2. And this would have had 3.
It should have had 3.
It should have had. So you've done some other stuff like under the hood.
I've done a little modification. Little mods to get her to run down the road just a little faster.
Because it was a big straight 6 to begin with, flathead 6. Let's look at what you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is not a flathead 6.
That is not a flathead 6-cylinder.
What is it?
This is a 360 LA engine out of a 91 3/4 ton 4x4 Dodge pickup. It's not fuel injected. This is a carbureted version. The fuel injection wasn't working out for me so well, so I
slapped a carburetor.
It's just got a Edelbrock 650 on there, but it's backed up by a 518 automatic transmission. So 4 forward gears with overdrive.
That is nice. Power brakes, power steering.
Brakes, power steering.
Power steering. So I mean, this has really got all the conveniences.
It's got a lot of them. And it'll take me up and down the road comfortably between 65 and 68 miles an hour.
Really? And pretty much fun to drive?
Oh, absolute blast to drive.
Could I drive this thing?
Absolutely.
Oh man, I would love to. Close this up and let's go do some power wagon and then
that sounds
let's
great.
do it. So anything to this? Just fire it up? Just fire it up like a regular.
Yep.
Just like a regular 55. What she does, just boom, boom. Oh man, I like this. How'd you get into power wagons?
I got into military vehicles first with some old boys up home, and then a good friend of mine got me to go to Vintage Power Wagons Rally in Iowa, and I was hooked ever since.
It sure looks military.
Yes. It is not a military vehicle. It's a common mistake. People think that they are, but they were built for the civilian market.
There's nothing that looks like a power wagon. They just look like they mean business.
They mean business.
Totally
all
mean
the time.
business.
Tons of people have never even seen a power wagon. I mean, so you know, when you're out on the road and you stop at a filling station or a rest area, you're meeting people that are going, "What is that thing?" So
how is it on the road at highway speeds?
Highway speeds are okay. You know, it's still like driving a 1955 one-ton truck. The suspension is as stiff as a brick, so you don't have a lot of give. But
those tires get a little loud at speed.
A little loud. It's good. It's good for thinking. You know, kind of like going to sleep with a ceiling fan on. I've never had the best sleep I've ever had been in a power wagon at cruising speeds.
Especially when you're turning.
Yes.
And you drove this like 180 miles to get here.
Yes, sir.
That is pretty amazing. I respect that. You've taken it over the road to some pretty big trips, right? Big events?
It's been to Iowa, it's been to Massachusetts, it's South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida.
From Kentucky.
From Kentucky.
How long did you take to build this thing?
It was a 7-year project. I had basically 3.5 years in fabrication of the cab and all the body modifications that I did to it. And then about 3.5 years of painting and rebuilding of axles and stuff, putting it back together.
Where'd you come up with the color?
The color is an original Dodge truck color from the mid-40s. It's called Submarine Sea Wolf Green.
Submarine Sea Wolf Green. I don't know if it is the toughest truck ever built, but it sure looks like it.
Yes, it does.
I mean, it just looks tough.
They're all bones in business.
Well, Michael, this thing's pretty sweet. Amazing piece of engineering.
Thank you.
55 one-ton though, so basically check out Mark's 58 Town Wagon.
Town Wagon. That's an awesome truck.
It is pretty awesome.
It is beautiful.
Mark, good to finally meet you, man.
Good to meet you, Dennis.
You know, Michael's Power Wagon crew cab, that thing's a lot of fun.
I can believe that.
Yeah, it really is. But enough about Michael. Let's talk about you and your ride here. I love this truck. I saw it at a show about a year ago. I'd never seen one. It's a 58 Power Wagon, Town Wagon 100.
It's a Power Wagon, Town Wagon, W100.
A W100.
Dodge.
And I know of D100s. What's the difference?
D100 was a two-wheel drive. The W100 was the four-wheel drive.
Oh, okay. So did that also make it a Power Wagon?
Four-wheel drive made it a Power Wagon.
Okay. A 1958, this was a fairly new body style. I mean, they finally changed from the gnarly, thing that had been hanging around since the late 30s, actually.
That's correct.
So this body style came about when?
1957, 58, and then on through 1965.
How tall is this thing?
It is tall.
It is tall. You can't put that in a normal garage, can you?
No.
But she's really nice, and this looks like a Dodge Truck Red.
Yeah, it is.
It is Dodge Truck Red.
It's a standard Dodge Truck Red.
And did they come two-tone like this?
I think there were some two-tones, but typically not. They were typically solid.
Sure looks good though. Obviously you've redone the interior here, but it's kind of interesting that those are similar panels on either side. It's not a glove compartment.
No, glove compartment's in the middle. I think it was for right hand, left hand. If you took that panel off, you'd see the gauge openings like you see
Oh,
here.
really? So for export, they could flop this over? And then it's only a two-door. So that's why you've got the little seat there. That's what
Folds
kicks up to
up.
get you. Oh. And I see that you're still in progress. You don't have a headliner here. I bet that's hard to come by.
It is, it is.
And you've got sound deadening up there. I bet that helps. I bet this thing is like a bell. It just resonates. But you've got the original setup. You know, Michael had switched to an automatic on this, but this is how she would have come in 58 pretty much, eh?
Yeah, 4-speed or 3-speed on the column.
I noticed this hole over here. Is that not finished or something? Or
In the 2-wheel drive, this is where the gas tank was. But with the 4-wheel drive, that's where the transfer case went.
okay.
So they had to move the gas tank to the rear.
And they
but
never-
they never did anything.
That's how they were. They
They
just-
just
there's
left
a
that
hole
open.
there.
Didn't even put a plug in it from the factory. That's just the way
That
they
seems
came.
odd to me. Now, how about the fender guards? Was that a stock
That
thing?
was a stock thing.
And then that's the stock wheel setup and everything?
It is. It is a 17.5-inch rim.
And then were they all barn doors?
Yeah, there was no gates on any of these trucks.
That's a tall door too, man.
It is. It is.
Sure is. So, you know, again, Michael had done, you know, a pretty fancy swap from the Flathead 6 to his 360, but I saw you badged V8. Let's go look and see what you got. That looks like a heavy hood. Oh, gee, it's even vented. I didn't notice that. Louvered. Okay, so a V8, and it came with a V8.
It did. It did. Though most trucks came with a Flathead 6, the V8 was an option.
And what displacement?
A 315, 205 horsepower.
Single barrel
It is.
with an oil bath air cleaner. Wow. And that's the original engine. All you did was
It is, yeah.
you go through the whole thing?
I did.
This is what she would have looked like. That's bright.
Yeah, no,
black
it's pretty.
color?
There's a few little minor changes, but
Well, this was, honestly, this was the first one I had ever seen. And then 6 months later, I was out in Seattle and I saw another one and I was like, wow, what are the odds? But I just think they're the coolest looking vehicle around. You've got it roadworthy and everything and licensed, and you take it around, you drove it up here.
yeah.
Can we take it around and do a little?
Absolutely. It's a
little,
blast
town
to
wagoning?
drive.
All right, well, and then you don't mind if I drive it,
No,
right?
not at all. I'm
Close
looking
this baby
forward to
up
it.
and let's go for a ride. So how long have you had the Power Wagon bug?
You know, it started out when I was basically just out of high school. I worked around some coal mines, and one thing they had was the coolest soil sampling rig on a Power Wagon. Oh, and it had big flotation tires on it.
Oh, it's like sticking
Yeah,
way
big
out.
tires.
Oh,
And,
jeez.
they had that classic 30s, 40s style cab and 4-wheel drive.
Like, oh.
It was like, I gotta, get one of these someday.
It is fun and it gets attention. When you go by somebody with this truck, they're like, what is that?
Everybody smiles, everybody, thumbs up. And you get a lot of, I've never seen one of these ever before.
I was one of those very people. They stand out, and they stand up. I mean, these things, you're looking at a car show and then sitting way up there is this, oh, look at that.
One thing about this body style, it lends itself to the two-tone,
Sure does.
It really does. And I have to admit, this is original color, but we added the second color on the roof just because it looked so cool.
Because it was originally all red?
It was all red. There's
Yeah.
a Dodge truck red, and this is the same red they used for years.
It looks awesome. Now, is this something like with Michael's truck, that second sun visor was an option, the second windshield wiper was an option. Did this thing pretty much come loaded with 2 windshield wipers? And
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was full paneled all the way back, headliner and everything, so it had to be somewhat more option, plus it had the power steering.
yeah, it's a nice feature. But your late 50s power steering,
Yeah, it's a little boat-like.
yeah, it's a motorboat and it keeps you on your toes.
It does, it does.
Wait at the gate. There we go.
It's a little hard to find the...
It's there somewhere though.
It is, it is.
And boy, you know, it's a long way to the dash.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sitting in the back seat almost. You can't hardly reach the dash. But the pedals and everything, I mean, this is where you should be driving it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much in the way of seat adjustment in this. I think it's just, this is it, you know.
So is this your only Power Wagon, or like most Power Wagon guys, they have a couple of them?
They do. Most people do have a number of them, but this is my only one.
Have you always been a Mopar guy?
I have. Not really a Mopar car guy, a Mopar truck guy.
So until our next meeting, remember, honor the timeless classics. I'm Dennis Gage. Happy motoring.